Here we go, everybody. We are doing special edition TWIS. Hey, everyone, I'm Dr. Kiki. I'm not putting any music in because I don't feel like it. And it's special night tonight. I don't have any co-hosts. You're my co-host, okay? It's all of you. You're doing the show with me right now. Okay, so this week in science, if you like it, go to twist.org and click on the Patreon link and support us because that's really helpful to keep the show going so that Justin can potentially rent more useless hotel rooms with internet. It was so good until it wasn't, but isn't it always? Okay, and what's the other thing? Oh, yes, the Zazzle store. It's great. You go to Zazzle. Click on the Zazzle link at twist.org. You can get our merchandise, cool t-shirts, no pictures like this hammerhead shark in the background of where I am right now. Those are on towels and other things, and t-shirts, and Blair made art. And come on, it's super, super, super cool. Okay, that's enough of that. And yeah, share this specifically with your friends because this is the best episode ever. I'm just going to start the science with those two words. Dire wolves. I would like a show of hands, everyone in the chat. Who's heard things about dire wolves this week? Just would love to know how many people have heard things about dire wolves. And if you would like to comment on what you've heard, are you aware they are no longer extinct? Apparently. Have you heard these things? I love it. All of you are fantastic. Sorta. We got a sorta from flying out. We've got don't know what that is. Can't call it. Tony M saying yes. Ian Tanager, Pepsi Cola. You're taking a look here. Flying out says sorta. There's the sorta. Fada, you heard it, but don't believe it. It's good to be skeptical. And here we are. Here we are, Laura D. Here we are, Laura D. We've got, yeah, look at all of you. You've heard the de-extinction of dire wolves. They're going to be full grown, as big as bears. They're going to be massive. These wolves that are not actually dire wolves. I'm just going to let you know, in the words of Katie Mack, dire wolves, more like liar wolves. Am I right? Thank you for that, Katie. I mean, honestly, that was like peak blue sky right there. That was amazing. Everybody, yes. Flying out, you're asking, they are 99% gray wolf to start. Yes, Great Gord, you're saying bits and pieces, the whole pile of asterisks. Yes, we have many, many asterisks to discuss right now. So let's talk about what they're doing. We've talked about Colossal a lot. This company founded by George Church and Ben something or other, a tech dude, tech bra. And they came together and they're like, let's use genomics and genetics for conservation. But, I don't know about their whole story. But, we're going to put a little pin in that one to the side for right now. So the news this week is, ta-da, and they actually did they were going to have news coming out April 8th that, oh my gosh, that they got George R.R. Martin in on, and George R.R. Martin was all over trying to say, hey, everybody, D-Day. We're going to have a day on April 8th that's going to be the day, and it's going to be super exciting, and everybody's like, ooh, it's going to be the next book that you've been talking about forever that you're never going to write, right? And it wasn't, of course, a book. It was these not dire wolves. And still, George R.R. Martin was like, oh, I'm going to put it in my blog and look at this. I'm so excited. And Dire World. George R. R. Martin is in on the PR sensationalism hype, and it's making me very upset and very sad. I saw some Swedish wolf lady who loves animals. She's putting it all over her social media. No comments. You cannot comment back because you know what? Those are probably paid posts, and she's not saying they're paid. And if she's really a science person, she should know these are not dire wolves. Okay. Anyway, the dire wolf story. Colossal for ages has been trying to take ancient DNA, sequence genomes from ancient animals, or, relatively recently, 13,000 years ago, extinct animals like the dire wolf, and use those genes to be able to bring the genes back. And this is the part of the story that is not discussed. Everybody says they're bringing the species back. No, they're not bringing the species back. They are bringing genes back. They talk a lot about lost genes. And in their methodology, what they have done is they took blood from gray wolves. From the gray wolves and the blood, they were able to get endothelial, not epithelial, endothelial cells. And these endothelial cells in the blood, they can be used to create pluripotent stem cells that can be turned into anything else. And so these endothelial cells are able to create cells that can then be genetically modified at certain points in the chromosomes, which they identified looking at ancient direwolf DNA. And they went, oh, these are the genes that are special to make direwolf traits: big faces, large size, white fur. And they have those genes, right? It's a set of letters in the DNA. And they went, okay, this is the stuff. And they took those sets of letters and they went, okay, let's look for the stuff that's like this in the gray wolf, because it's very, very similar. They're 99.5% similar. They say that the gray wolf is the closest living relative to the dire wolf. This is the most recent, I guess, evidence to that particular argument. Historically, researchers have thought that dire wolves may be closer related to jackals or even hyenas, or dingoes. And so the gray wolf aspect, they are positing based on their own data that has not yet been published or peer reviewed. They've done all the work and they say that this is the closest, and so this is what we're going to do. But none of it's been published yet. Although it will be. Of course it will be. Everything's going to be published because, science. So we have baby white gray wolves who have been genetically modified. So gray wolves that have been genetically modified to express genes that are more similar to ancient direwolf DNA. They couldn't use the gene for the real white hair color. Sorry, I got to drop my lemur on the ground. The white hair color of the dire wolves, because the gray wolves, if they gave them that particular gene, the exact lettering in the DNA, and that was the one that was expressed, because it is a polyphyletic trait where the gene impacts a lot of different traits. If they'd done that, the pups would have been blind and deaf. So they said, oh, we learned something. We're not going to torture poor little baby animals, and we're going to use the gray wolf gene. We're going to use a gray wolf gene that gets rid of the melanin in the hair. So they modulated the gray wolf gene to give white hair instead of gray hair, like a gray wolf would have. They used really interesting techniques. everything they're doing is fascinating, and in this, we're getting everybody's excited about the direwolf story, and they've brought in indigenous populations that have stories of direwolves that still inhabit their spoken histories. But but these are not direwolves. These are faint shadows of what direwolves once were. These are gray wolves who have been modified to express traits that might be similar to dire wolves of 13,000 years ago. One of the bits that really bugs me, the hubris, is their the news and parts of the story in which they say, we are going to study these dire wolves and learn about dire wolf behavior, wild dire wolf behavior. Where are they going to learn about it? Here comes the lemur. Honestly, these dire wolves, who is teaching them how to be a dire wolf? They don't have dire wolf parents, and they've separated the wolves from the gray wolf mother because the gray wolf mother was acting like a mom and is a gray wolf. So I want to know who these dire wolves are learning to be dire wolves from. Oh, no, it's all genetic. You just know how to be a dire wolf. That's it. Based on, and this is, they made 20 genetic edits, 15 of which are supposedly specifically ancestral, like strictly ancestral dire wolf. But there are Pepsi-Cola, there are a lot of hypotheticals and assumptions, and the whole thing is science by PR, and it is hype train driven. The cover of Time magazine, massive. I mean, I don't know how many people read Time anymore. It's a beautiful cover, but it's not true. These are not dire wolves. Somebody on Blue Sky said, and I love this, or no, it was on Reddit actually. Somebody said, okay, it's like if you took a Subaru, an old beat up Subaru, and you painted it red and called it a Ferrari. It's kind of what we got going on right now. What's getting lost in the hubbub, though, is the other part of this, which is the actual conservation part, in which they have taken for red wolves. And on the east coast of the United States, in North America, the red wolf is critically endangered. And parallel to what they're doing with the dire wolves, they have taken genomes from relatives, from a couple of male and a female red wolf, or related, closely related, from I think it was like a Gulf population, or a northern panhandle, like Florida population of these red wolves. They're like 20 real northeastern red wolves in that are living alive today. We have them. We had up to like 100 of them, and we had a wonderful breeding program going. And in 2015, we shut down the breeding program. Maybe it was 2016. I don't remember. But that program ended, and almost all of the red wolves died. There are 20 left in captivity. And they were able to look at related individuals, look at the genes, and gather what they call ghost genes. And their intent is to look at really closely related individuals to determine genes that increase genetic diversity, so that they can take genes that have been lost, that have disappeared, that are no longer in a bottlenecked population. So you can start bringing, if you can take those genes, add them into your endothelial cell that you then clone, and then you do somatic nuclear transfer, and suddenly you have an embryo that works. You implant that. And I don't know why. All the releases said it's non-invasive. I'm like, how do you implant an embryo non-invasively? I don't know. How do you take blood non-invasively? They keep saying non-invasive. I am so tired of whoever their communicators are. Anyway, I am judging right now. But uh, the big thing is they are doing conservation work. Now there are 3 more red wolf individuals than there were previously. And they have additional genetic diversity that is not present in that population of 20 individuals that are captive. So, what does that mean? Like, is this how we will develop more diverse populations that can be conserved and that will live and thrive in the future? The big question here, though, is what does it matter if you're not actually preserving ecosystems, if you're not solving the problem that leads to that genetic bottleneck in the first place? We can like do all of the stuff to bring back white rhinos, but if you haven't gotten rid of poaching, if you haven't gotten rid of all of the human encroachment, the deteriorating ecosystems, if you haven't kept an ecosystem up for these populations, what are we doing? Yeah, maybe non-surgical, right? Right, Justin? Like maybe the non-invasive just means non-surgical. A needle doesn't matter. That's fine. That's fine. Implantation? Nah. We a little pipette? Nah, not a big deal. Um, anyway, I do not like the way that they are marketing what they're doing. They are using pop culture and hype to be able to get people excited about the work that they're doing and to increase their market value, and they're going to get more investing because look, they're successful. But at the end of the day, they have proprietary algorithms for analyzing genomes. They have proprietary systems and methods, technology that are being used to technology that who's going to pay for them when it comes time to conserve critically endangered species? Who is going to pay for this, which is probably going to be incredibly expensive because unless you're doing doing it at scale, the price isn't going to make sense. So there's part of me that I really, really want to believe that what they're doing is for the good of species and conservation. But there's another part of me that just sees this as yet another attempt by the tech industry to transfer wealth and to make a buck. And it's not really in service of the conservation that it says it is. Anyway. Yeah, pop culture science, exactly. But yeah, so long story short, please, if you see or hear anybody talking about dire wolves coming back to life, that we've brought dire wolves back to life. Dire wolves aren't extinct anymore. They cloned a dire wolf. No, 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 no. They have done some incredible science that is absolutely undeniable. To have healthy offspring from these procedures, this is cutting edge. This is cutting edge. But yeah, Justin, what you're saying, rich people pets, right. This is the technology that is going to be the technology that allows you to take a gene from someplace else, a gene that's gone from history, a Neanderthal gene, a woolly mammoth gene, I don't know, name your animal. If we have the genome and we know the genes and we know what they influence, you can take that gene, you can manipulate DNA in a particular location to have a particular effect. So you can have a bigger dog, you can have a smaller dog, you can have a smarter child. I mean, all of this, or a stronger child. Maybe you really, really want a cold adapted, I don't know, track and field shot put winner. This is the technology that is this is reproductive technology. This is genetic modification technology. This is these are the techniques that are being patented and the algorithms that are going to be licensed that will, they're going to take us to that Gattaca kind of world. Because once we know we can do it in animals and create healthy offspring in animals and get what we want for traits, it's plug and play. So yeah, I am not excited about quote unquote Jurassic Park. I'm not excited about their totally secure facility where these wolves are learning to be dire wolves from Lord knows who. Yeah, Digital Nomad says it would be nice to have an entire African savanna that would fit on a tabletop with tiny animals in an ecosystem. Tiny ones, right? Why not? Like those little tiny frogs. I mean, you got to watch out though. At a certain point, those little tiny frogs that jump and they forget where they are in the air and fall down too small, and they just don't work anymore because those little bones in the middle ear, they can't go that small. Welcome. Beginning of a zoo where all the animals are reimagined versions of the natural ones. Why is natural not okay anymore? Why is the real thing something we need to change? Fix the ecosystem, fix the human problem, and then let's deal with all of this. I mean, yes, parallel. We need lots of parallel routes, but I don't know. I am not convinced. And if somebody can come and convince me that this is amazing and it really is good for the future and for the earth, I welcome it. I do not like being a negative Nancy about stuff. I am Little Miss Optimist. I really try to be excited and optimistic about things as much as possible, but I believe that the sensationalism and hype is almost the same as misinformation. And it is when people discover it's not dire wolves, that's not what they said, then it's not just reflecting on their company, and all press is good press, right? So it doesn't matter. I'm giving them press right now, but I only said their name at the beginning. I'm giving them press, right? It's press, right? Attention. But science is what is going to suffer as a result, because people generally will be misled and say, well, what? Scientists can't be trusted. Oh my God. So we need dragons. Yes. And unicorns. Yes. Absolutely. I don't know. I love the idea. And have you seen the videos of these cute, poor little animals? Oh, oh, oh. You go online and they're like, see a video of the first dire wolf in 13,000 years howling, the howl of the dire wolf. Who knows if it's that dire wolf howl? It's just a little baby wolfie. The wolfie is going, oh, 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 and they're adorable. They're going to be great. I am more excited. I mean, okay, I forgot to put this in my rundown, but there was a story about I think is it Washington State or Yellowstone? Oh yeah, 4 days ago, we had a news that gray wolf packs are on the rise. Their numbers are on the rise in Washington. 2 new packs formed. So they had, let's see, the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife released the annual 2024 report on gray wolves, and the numbers did decline slightly because there is hunting, because these beautiful gray wolves, they sometimes go onto ranchers' land, and the ranchers go, "You're going to kill my cattle." And so they decide that they're going to attack at first, right? Offense is the best defense, according to the ranchers. Well, you want to protect your herds. Anyway, 43 confirmed gray wolf packs 43 packs across the state. It's amazing. Number of wolves decreased, though, from 254 to 230. But that is a large enough number for the biologists to say that the population remains stable, on track for recovery. This is an average growth of 20% per year since 2008 until 2024. Ben Maletsk, statewide wolf specialist, said the number of packs increased in the North Cascades, and both the North Cascades and Eastern Washington recovery regions continued to meet or exceed recovery goals. I think that is super cool news. I mean, that's conservation in action. That is the kind of news that is really going to have an impact on ecosystems, because the wolves are North America's natural predators. And those wolves are going to keep deer populations in check. That in turn will keep other herbivore populations in check. That in turn will have an impact on the plants, and everything is connected in the way that that the food web works together. Oh, Justin, I would love a pet pygmy mastodon, but you know what? You can get a teacup cow right now. They're little and they have cute little fur and their faces are so cute. Get yourself a teacup cow. You don't need a mastodon. Come on. You don't have to wait that long. So I don't know, I find this kind of revival of endemic species, the gray wolves, they have not gone extinct in North America. Let's not let them go extinct. Why would we focus our energy on a 13,000 year extinct species when we have beautiful, beautiful gray wolves to take care of in our own world already? Yeah. So anyway, I did actually get a bachelor's of science in wildlife and fisheries conservation. So conservation biology is very near and dear to my heart. I think that the way we approach conservation needs to be from an ecosystem level, and that we need to take a really hard look at ourselves and how we interact with the environment. And for a very long time, and we still have it, and I have a feeling these project this year people, that the way they look at the world is still antiquated in that view of humans as having dominion over the earth, as opposed to humans being another animal species on the earth that is just very active and has a responsibility as sentient organisms to control how we interact with the environment. Anyway, I don't know. I'm going to keep reporting on Colossal, because I think there needs to be a continued conversation about what is happening, why it's happening, and where it might all go. And I feel like we need to have an open conversation socially about these issues. So, what do you all think? You want to not dire wolf? Oh, it's a dire shame of what they've done. Ah. But thank you for joining me for this week in Kiki ranting about not dire wolves. Scam wolf. Yes, I need Brian Brushwood on here. We could talk about dire scams. All right. But I'd love to everybody think about, though, this idea of ghost genes. I mean, it's a very Red Queen centric kind of perspective, that the genes are the driving factor and that we are just a vessel for genes to propagate themselves. Any life is a vessel for genes. And that's kind of where I feel like this effort is coming from. It's not conservation in the context of actual what we've got going on this planet conservation, not conserving what we've got in life as we know it. It's conserving genetic diversity. And I have a feeling that we're gonna see, um, I have a feeling that we're going to see, instead of a seed bank, it's gonna be a gene bank. I mean, there already are there's a database, it's called the gene bank. But I feel like this is going to be where this is going to push. It's going to be, um, genomes as a service, right? Genes as a service, where you can pick and choose for whatever you need them. And it's an interesting sci-fi kind of concept, but I think it's really a very important and interesting one for people to think about. And I'd love to hear what all of you, any of you, have to say, or what your thoughts are about the idea of conserving genetic diversity versus conserving species diversity. Because they keep saying, we're bringing the dire wolf back. It's the species. And it's like, it's not a dire wolf. It's not even just a gray wolf with a lot of weird genes that you manipulated. Still a gray wolf, but it's white. It might get big with a big face. Ah, ta-da. I know. We could have a science scam segment. I always try and talk about whatever I see that's out there that's a scam. I mean, that's where Justin's not a real doctor bills came from. I mean, Justin, people decided to get small again. Yeah, we made smaller people, more resources. That's why the teacup cows are great, right? You have less land, you can have more cows on less land, and it's great, and they're cute. And then you feel worse about deciding to eat them for meat. Pepsi Cola. I would like to buy the ability to fly, but with a Groupon code and payment plan. We all know that Groupon codes are a scam. Oh, those Groupon codes, that whole company was built to fail. That again, that was a money transfer operation. When Wall Street got involved in Silicon Valley, everything changed. Dun, dun, dun. I love talking about gray wolves, though. Gray wolves are pretty and they're awesome animals. And I will put the George R.R. Martin blog post up on our website for everyone to see. But you do have to take a look at this picture. It is, I mean, he calls his blog not a blog, and he should have called this not a dire wolf. But look how cute that little guy is. Oh my gosh. And they're all named based on it's Romulus and Remus and Khaleesi. So they have totally touched on his sentimental spot. This company is a bunch of users. That's all I think anyway. But look how cute that little baby wolf is. Wuffy, I want to pet you before you get too big and wild and want to eat me with your big mouth. He's so cute. Oh my gosh. Anybody who got to see these wolves before they get too big is very lucky, because they're probably going to be very large and hard to control. And who knows? Who knows? I would love to hear more about their behavior as they got older, because they're not being raised by parents, not my direwolf parents. All right. Blair has said in the past, Fada's bringing up, I agree with what Blair has said in the past about bringing back, quote unquote, past extinct species. We no longer have the environment and ecosystem that would support them. So it's dangerous to do so. Yeah. I mean, but that's one of the questions, right? If we brought woolly mammoths back to the northern realms, like, Canada, I mean, how would they do? And like Siberia. So these woolly mammoths, if you got them into the areas where they used to be in the past, is there a lack that if they were back in the ecosystem, would they fill it? Right? And that's an interesting question. But does it need to be a mammoth? Could it be other species that are still alive today? I mean, climate change is happening and we're seeing shifts in global temperature and we are seeing changes in where different species can exist. And we see places on this planet becoming inhospitable to species. Could we move them to places that would be more hospitable? And how would that, and I mean, would that work better? I mean, you move them someplace else. Oh, suddenly, ta-da, there's no poachers there because nobody was there to poach them in the first place. Um, I just keep thinking about why this focus on quote unquote conservation when it's not solving the root problem. Ha ha ha, Fada, you're hilarious. Is this why the orange guy wants Greenland to reintroduce woolly mammoths? I mean, if only. That's funny. That would be, I mean, that would be interesting, but I mean, unfortunately, probably not. But yeah, the dire wolves, Pepsi Cola, they will get less cuddly with time. Oh my gosh. But anyway, this has been all over the place on social media this week, and people have asked me about stuff, and I've seen stuff, and I really hope that all of you will go out into the world and try to have conversations with people about what they've read and why why they can't be dire wolves, why they are not dire wolves, and why the framing and the spin is bad. And we can all address the cuteness of the animals in the room, but it'd be good. Let's see, a couple of other fun studies. I thought these were really awesome. I'm not going to go into a lot of details, but some space studies that I thought were really great this week. Let's see, what did we have? Let me see if I can open these up. So researchers on not researchers, well, they are researchers, but scientists, astronauts on the International Space Station made miso. They made miso. Researchers from the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, they ran an experiment to create fermented soybean paste, miso. And they wanted to experiment with how the space environment changed the flavor of miso. And indeed, the research suggests that it did. The industrial design scientist Maggie Koblenz from MIT said fermentation on the International Space Station, because this is fermented soybean paste. So you have soybeans, fermented paste. I don't know why that sound was paste, but fermentation is a huge aspect of the process. So you have yeast involved to break down sugars and to enzymatically and metabolically shift the chemical makeup of that paste. Fermentation is a fabulous, fabulous process that we love so much. Researcher says fermentation on the ISS illustrates how a living system at the microbial scale can thrive through the diversity of its microbial community, emphasizing the potential for life to exist in space. While the ISS is often seen as a sterile environment, our research shows that microbes and non-human life have agency in space. Agency when you've got, the right conditions. Maybe microgravity, but there's still the right conditions. Agency in space, raising significant bioethical questions about removing plants and microbes from their home planet and introducing them to extraterrestrial environments. I'm not exactly sure how she went from part one, where you have microbes and non-human life having agency in space, to the second about removing from the home. Is it that we should ask them for their consent? I'm not sure. Anyway, the researchers had miso starter and sent the batches of the miso starter to Cambridge, Massachusetts, Copenhagen, and low Earth orbit on the International Space Station. What they found is after the batches fermented for 30 days inside a special box that was temperature, humidity, pressure, light, radiation monitored. They were able to find that the miso on space was slightly different. And the miso in space fermented successfully, but the difference was it had higher populations of Staphylococcus epidermis, Staphylococcus warneri. This could because it's a warmer environment on the space station. Also, Bacillus valezensis was only identified in the space miso. They all had similar aroma compounds and amino acids and yummy, salty. That yummy, I guess, is a characteristic of miso, salty flavor. But space miso was nuttier and tasted more roasted. And so there were pyrazine compounds present that they think were a result of the higher International Space Station temperatures. And that could have accelerated fermentation, which means that if fermentation was accelerated, 30 days of fermentation would lead to a more fermented product at the end of 30 days in the space station than on Earth. But the researchers say this is exciting because it could enhance astronaut well-being and performance. Studies like this. Oh, me so excited, especially on future long-term space missions. More broadly, it could invite new forms of culinary expression, expanding and diversifying culinary and cultural representation in space exploration. So go space miso. Yeah. Could you imagine if it keeps growing? It's like gray goo, but it's miso. An additional study for in the space, which is very exciting. Researchers have published an April 3rd Cell Press Journal device about their work creating solar cells out of simulated moon dust. Not real moon dust, but simulated moon dust. And they found that the materials in the simulated moon dust, which is supposed to be just like moon dust, right? They are really great, and they are able to convert sunlight to energy efficiently, withstand radiation damage, which is the big deal. If you're going to put moon dust into solar cells and put them on the surface of the moon, so you have Moonglass that's doing solar energy transition. Why do I keep hitting that? I really need to move it. The efficiency normally of solar cells, they're expensive, they're heavy, the glass or foil, it has to deal with radiation and they're not so great. So if you can use materials from the moon, this is the thing they're excited about. It could cut a spacecraft's launch mass by about 99%. That would reduce transport costs and make lunar settlements more feasible. I mean, if you've got moon dust that can work, that's great. So there's substance that they designed to simulate moon dust that they like. I love is Moonglass for their solar cell. They paired Moonglass with perovskite, and for every gram of material sent to space, the panels produced up to 100 times more energy than traditional solar panels. So, number one, I'm thinking that this is exciting because you don't have to take stuff to space, except maybe the perovskite, and you have great energy production in space on the moon. They're resilient against radiation. They don't degrade. They wouldn't degrade as quickly. They outperform Earth-made standard glass. But why do we have to make them on the moon if they created this moon glass here on Earth and it was better? Could we use moon glass for better solar panels here on our planet? I like this idea. But anyway, I find it very exciting. I am thrilled at the idea of moon glass and solar-made or moon-made solar cells. This solar manufacturing, potentially, they could power exploration on the moon. They could be built, dig up the regolith, isolate the the bits that you need and make your Moonglass. But why do we have to make it on the moon? Let's make it on Earth. Simulate it. Is it expensive? That's my question. I don't know. I want highly efficient Moonglass. I do. Don't you? Okay, last study that I want to share tonight. It's taking this show to the dogs. Yep, I am taking this show to the dogs right now. So, Justin, you know that we've talked about cats being bad for the environment, killing birds, and all that kind of stuff so many times. Let your cat out, they're gonna kill birds and get toxo, and you're gonna get toxo, and everybody's having brain disease. Woohoo! It's awesome. Cats have been maligned for a very long time. Nobody is talking about the dogs. Everybody loves dogs. You don't have that many wild dogs. Everybody's got their dogs on leashes, right? No, that's not the case. So this particular study, it was just published in the journal Pacific Conservation Biology. Here we go, more conservation biology. This review highlighted, this is out of The Guardian, this article I'm looking at, highlighted the impacts of the world's commonest large carnivore. That's dogs. It's not cats. It's dogs. Dogs have very extensive environmental impacts. And this Australian review of studies argues that, quote, the environmental impact of owned dogs is far greater, more insidious, and more concerning than is generally recognized. And you know why that is? It's not because of the dogs themselves. It's because of their owners. Yeah. People who have dogs are like, oh, it's fine. I'll let them off the leash. It's okay. Blah, blah, blah. They run around and you go to the beach, whatever. And then, your dog goes and kills a shorebird. Oh my gosh, he's never done anything like that before. I can't believe it. Oh, drop it. Don't. Oh my God, it's so dirty. My dog's going to get a disease now. Everyone, please be aware that your animals are having an impact. In Australia, apparently attacks by unrestrained dogs on little tiny penguins in Tasmania are potentially going to contribute to colony collapse. This is not good. Animals taken to the zoo, according to a study, found that mortality was highest after dog attacks, which was the second most common reason for admission after car strikes. So we have other large animals, deer, foxes, bobcats, less active or avoiding areas where dogs are allowed. Insecticides from flea and tick medications, killing aquatic invertebrates because it's washing off into waterways, and dog feces. Oh yeah, not just cat feces, but dog feces can leave scent traces and change soil chemistry and plant growth. The researcher, the lead author, Professor Bill Bateman of Curtin University, says, this is not supposed to be censorious, but just to raise awareness of the environmental impacts of man's best friend. And what do you think the best way to mitigate against these harms could possibly be? Keep your dog leashed. If you're going to keep your cat inside, keep your dog leashed. And clean up after them. Clean up those poos. Don't just leave them out there. You got to clean them up. Okay? Be a good animal owner. I know everybody here is a great animal owner. I am sure. If you let your dogs out, it's only into your backyard and it's very carefully. All right. I had other studies, but they're about brains and stuff like that. And I don't know. What do you guys want to talk about? Do y'all want to talk about anything else? I'll leave links around. There's a study. They've mapped a piece of mouse brain It's like a very, very high resolution mapping, a bunch of nature studies that have just come out. Very exciting information. Additionally, there's another study. Researchers have found a link between an interleukin, which is one of our inflammation molecules. It's in the brain, and it actually modulates behavior. And they think that it may have been a behavioral modulator before it was in the inflammation pathway. And so this signal that normally turns on inflammation, it also can turn on depression and anxiety. And it could have something to do with the way that various populations of people with different genetics change their behaviors when they're sick, when their temperature goes up. It's very interesting. I had some TWIS mailbag, but I feel really bad not reading the mailbag with Blair and Justin. So I'm going to save our TWIS mailbag for next week. If you have anything, you can email me, Kirsten, at thisweekinscience.com. You can email Justin at twisminion@gmail.com. And I think Blair's blairbaz at twis.org still. I think. But what is the caveat? Oh, yeah. You must put TWIS in the subject line, or else your email will be eaten by a completely poorly behaving dire wolf who was never taught how to behave like a real dire wolf by a parent, because they don't have a parent and they're in some highly secure drone security prison for dire wolves in the northeastern United States. I have no idea. Area Alpha. Somebody go find that. Oh man, Pepsi Cola, you're rolling with them. That's amazing. Dire Wolves 2, more dire. It's so good. There's so many wonderful things to say moving forward. Okay. Yeah, I'm really glad that I got to hang out with you all. I am so sorry, Justin, that your internet didn't work out tonight. That is a huge disappointment. I am seriously, though, I'm glad I had to get the dire wolves out of my system somehow. So thank you for letting me do that. Thank you for being my dire audience. Thank you, Pepsi Cola. Thank you, Fada. Thank you, The Marked. Thanks. Who else is still there? We've got Laura D, Joint Specialist, David Ha. Yeah, Moonglass could be great for a high quality fiber optic. Absolutely. Justin, let's see, flying out. Who else do we have here? Eric Knapp. Oh yeah, we could expand the range of the muskox. Paul Disney, the woolliest mammoths. They're even woollier. Who needs sheep anymore? We could have so much awesome like hair for sweaters from like the even woollier mammoth. I can't anymore. All of you, thank you so much for joining. So appreciated that you're here to hang out with me. I'm sorry I wasn't here last week, but I'm very, very glad that I was able to make that conference happen. Science Talk 25 brought people together at a time that was needed. And I hope that we're able to continue to create great experiences for science communicators throughout the next year until Science Talk 26, which is going to be back in Portland, Oregon, and which is going to be our 10th conference. So our 10th anniversary next year. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to do a TWIS thing right along with it. I don't know. I love things that are near my home. Traveling was great, but it would have been nice to sleep in my own bed. Laura D, you're not excited about the mammoth fur yarn. Who knows? Maybe it was very soft. Right? I don't know. I mean, I honestly have no idea. Maybe they just needed a comb and it's just like alpaca or like a mix of alpaca and chinchilla. Who knows? They had to be warm. That's great. Nothing like trying to shear a mammoth. That's right. All right. So everyone, thank you so much for joining me and almost Justin tonight for this very special, strange episode of This Week in Science. Thanks for enjoying the conversation. And, if you're in dire need of more science, just remember that TWIS.org is there for you. We're there on social media, and we have over 1,000 episodes in our back catalog for you to check out and to have fun with. Let's have more science fun together next week, all right? Yes, sorry. Hey, for Portland. Yes, it was fun. Thanks, Paul Disney. And like I said, I'm not playing any music because I don't feel like it. It's not the whole show, so it's not quite right. But yeah, put it on your calendar. Sometime next Marchy, April-y, Science Talk 26 will be happening. It's going to be great. We'll bring all the science communicators. I want to make it a big one. I mean, not too big, but like good. We'll see. But in the meantime, I need to get a job. I don't know. I'm going to go feed my lemur. Do you want some more food, lemur? You're so cute over there. Freeze frame. Freeze frame. Oh, goodness. Okay, I'm going to go now. Thank you, everyone. I do appreciate you joining for another episode of This Week in Science. I hope you enjoyed the show, the fun. And to all the Patreon sponsors out there, I thank you for sponsoring us. And I am sorry that I'm not reading all your names tonight. Everything's a little special tonight, very special. And I hope you all sleep well. I hope you all live well. I hope you all find moments of calm, moments of joy, moments of introspection, curiosity. Stay curious. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Stay lucky. Ta-da-da! We'll see you again next week. And Blair will be back, I hope. And Justin will have good internet. Everything's going to be fabulous. We'll see you next week. Thank you for joining me for this episode of TWIS. Have a great night.